shake the laces. Cold ground on my heels, empty pockets, crowded faces. From every doorway, I can feel those eyes, they never blink. Waiting on a crack in my armor, waiting for me just to sink. Sorry to disappoint you all, I'm still breathing, still on cue. I'm here as a soldier, standing loyal, standing true. Turn my pain into a promise, turn my losses into fuel. I was raised by the pressure, now I use it as a tool. I'm gonna rise up, I'm gonna win. I'll be the one still standing when this fight ends. Yeah, you can disrespect, turn your back, talk big and run from the fact. I paid dues you could never pay back. I'm the alpha and I lead this pack. My goals, my dreams, my ambition, lace tight, they never slip. Every setback just a rap. I get stronger with the hits. From the shadows to the spotlight, I've been walking through the smoke. Heart armor like a riot shield. I don't break, I just reload. Yeah, they're watching for me, bleeding for me, begging on my knees. But I grew up in the deep and learned to breathe where others freeze. So keep talking from the bleachers, I'm still grinding on this track. By the time you see me shining, you'll remember how you left. I'm gonna win. I'll be the one still standing when this fight ends. When it ends, you can disrespect, turn your back. Talk tough, but I live what you lack. I took scars, turned them all into maps. I'm the alpha and I lead this pack. Life threw me to the street, thought that I would never last. Now I'm marching with an army made of every broken past. If you're walking where I walk, just remember when it's black. You can rise up, you can win, you can lead your own path, yeah.
3, 2, 1. Initiate grit briefing. Grit briefing is initiating. We are bringing the teams online. This is the build, the prep, the grind before the fight. Personal growth in the dark so I can lead in the light. I train my mind, I harden my will. I sharpen every skill because the mission of life rewards the ones who've got the steel. I suit up before the order, I move before the sound. I learn the lesson in the pressure, I stay ready, feet on the ground. When the call comes in, I don't hesitate, I activate on go. Prepare for what's ahead with the discipline to know. Train now, grow now, lock it now. Go time, ready to move. This life operation order to be given now. Stay ready, stay prepared. Three, two, one. Initiate grit briefing.
All right. Good morning to all those across all the platforms that are watching us. Man, good morning and welcome to the Grit Briefing episode 3. We're going to be taking a look today at operational phase line. We have people joining us on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and man, I am so honored that you are watching this morning, jumping in, even if you're only jumping in for a few minutes. Hey, do me a favor. If you're watching this, no matter what platform you're on, follow, subscribe, do all that cool stuff if you wish. But what is the Grit Briefing, you ask? Hey, I'm Coach Grit, and I started Grit for Life, which has affectionately become Grit Nation over the years. It started about 10 years ago. I am a mindset coach as well as a certified master trainer in fitness. And my whole passion in life is working with individuals to learn how to take themselves to the next level. My background, 17 years in the military. I've been a firefighter, law enforcement officer, and as I stated, now currently a certified master trainer as well as a mindset coach. And if you're watching this on TikTok, hey, you're going to be missing out on half of the briefing. That's what I'm going to tell you right now. Because unfortunately, I don't game, everybody. I know that is such a rare thing these days. I am too busy. I am way too busy to game. I am an author. I am always, in fact, it was so funny because I had someone reach out to me over the weekend, really late on Sunday night, and they said, "Hey, are you able to do some training with me tomorrow morning?" And I said, "No, you can't reach out. Every once in a while you might catch me with some space. But what you can't do is you can't reach out to me just a couple hours before and say, 'Hey, you got some time to train me?' Because I am always on the go. I also am a strength and conditioning coach for some pro boxers as well as amateur boxers. I just always am running. So I don't have time to game. And where does that come into this thing? Unfortunately, in order for me to restream onto TikTok and be able to show what I'm showing on YouTube and Facebook, it says that the majority of my stuff has to be gaming. Well, I don't have time for that. So if you're watching this on TikTok, thank you so much for joining. Please hit, if you don't follow me, hit that follow button. But if you want the full aspect of the briefing, consider, if you have a Facebook account, joining the group Grit Nation on Facebook, as well as going and following me over on YouTube, Grit_Nation. Let's kick this off. So I know normally we hold this on a Monday morning, the Grit Briefing. We usually start our week off with the Grit Briefing, giving you something to put into an actionable plan for your mind, body, and soul, for your success, your dreams, your goals. Yesterday morning and yesterday was packed for me. I had a whole bunch of things I had to get done that were time sensitive, and I was unable to actually go live and do the Grit Briefing. But hey, here we are today, and we're going to get this kicked off. We're going to be taking a look this morning, and I will do my best to refer to any comments, whether it be on TikTok, whether it be on Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube, here's your thing. It says I'm supposed to see your comments. I don't see them. So I apologize if you make a comment. I will try to get back after the show. This morning, so in the military, anytime that you have an operation, anytime you have a goal or a mission, we have these things that we set up inside the op order or the operations order to let us know where we are in that mission. Good morning, Treasure Hunter. And this is really vital. It is vital for several different reasons. One, it lets us know, are we on time? So we'll plan out a mission and it'll tell us, we'll say, we have these phase lines, these operational phase lines that initiate, say, hey, by dark 30, you should be at this phase line. You should be here in the mission. And what it does for us is, one, it lets us know that we are exactly where we need to be at the time that we need to be. Or what it does is it lets us know, hey, you're a little ahead of schedule or you're a little behind schedule. The other thing it does is, as you check into these phase lines, it lets others know, or really your accountability partners when it comes to our life and we're not in the military, it lets our accountability partners be aware of where we are with what we said we are going to do. Have you ever, maybe you say, when I say this, when I ask this question, you're going to say, Coach, that's every day for me. Have you ever gone through your day or maybe your week, and at the end of everything, you go, what in the world did I accomplish? What did I accomplish? I'm not even sure where my time went in the day. And you go to bed, you're exhausted, you're worn out, and I'd even be discouraged because you had these plans, whether it be in a relationship, whether it be in a career, education, just you as a person. You have these, one morning you wake up and man, you're like, oh my God, I have this dream. I have this goal. Maybe it's when you were coming out of high school and you had this vision and this dream and your goal, and now you're a year out, 5 years out, 10 years out, or you're like me and I've just lost count of how long it's been since I was in high school. And you look back and you say, what have I accomplished? Or maybe it's later on in life, and as you're going through your career, you see opportunities and you go, I want that. I have the capability of doing that. That is my dream. That is my goal. And somewhere along the way, you mission drifted. What does that mean? Mission drifted means that you're still moving forward. It's just you're not quite where you thought you would be. And you say, Coach, this happens more often than not to me. I can 100% relate. I've been there. As an author, I will sit down and I'll plan out a book and I'll sit there and go, okay, I know what I'm going to write. I know when I'd like to finish this. I know when I'd like to release this. And in doing so, what happens is months later, I'm coming up on a deadline or a phase line, you could say. And all of a sudden I realize I'm nowhere where I thought I would be. Life happens. But here's the thing. We can either be, and if you've watched the Grit Briefing or Coffee with Coach before, you know I've said this a lot, we can be reactive or proactive. And there are many times where life happens and we don't even recognize that we are getting derailed from our mission until it's already happened and we're already behind. And then when we get behind, all too often, we just quit our mission. We quit our dreams, we quit our goals, or we set it aside and we say, I'll get back to that, and we never do. How many goals, how many dreams, how many things have you looked to accomplish? And somewhere along the line, you got derailed and you set it to the side and said, I'll come back to it. How long ago was that? How long ago was that? When are you going to go back to it? It's still waiting for you. You still have the opportunity. I am a firm believer that the universe has a purpose and a reason for you being here. You have value. And I also believe that the universe has specific things that each of us are meant to do in our lifetime. And in that, it brings you to a moment. And it says, here's your mission. Now, if we get derailed from it or we get discouraged and we set it to the side, it's still there waiting for us. Now, it may be really far back waiting for us because it's been that long since we put it to the side. It's been that long since we got derailed. So what I want to talk about today in the Grit Briefing is how we can set up in our lives, using that metaphor of the military phase lines, how we can set up operational phase lines, why it's important, what to look for, what could they look like? These are suggestions. I'm not the end all be all. If any creator, influencer gets on and tries to sell you something, tries to tell you that they have what it is, you need to go watch some of the other Grit Briefings we've done, because that's not who I am. I'm just the dude who's been through a lot in life. I've learned a lot, and I'm bringing it to your table, and I'm going to set it on your life's operational planning table. And I'm going to say, here are some ideas. It's going to be up to you whether you choose to utilize those or not. Use all of them, use some of them, use none of them. But it's up to you. Your response is your responsibility. So we're going to be taking a look at daily checkpoints for a mission-effective living. Most people do not fail the mission because they have no goals. I don't believe that. There's rarely, I would say, in fact, I'd probably say, let's throw something out there. Let's say 99% of people out there don't get up every day planning to fail. They actually have goals. Now, what they do with those goals, how they achieve those goals, is where we're going to meet, where the rubber meets the road. Because far too often we get excited about something, but we don't follow through. Most people do not fail the mission because they had no goals. They fail because they didn't have checkpoints to keep them on the mission direction, to make sure that they are effective in that mission. For those who are watching this on TikTok, I will be going still through the slides and you'll hear them. I'll talk about them, but you won't be able to see them. So let's take a look in the theme of military operations order, or an op order. Let's take a look. Where's the situation? Where's the area of operation that we're talking about today, that we're working in today? Where are we? The key factor of success is first understanding, where am I? If I want to get somewhere, I need to know where I am at. in order to be able to put a plan together to get from where I'm at to where I'm going to be. The situation, where are we? The daily battlefield of our lives that affect our mission effectiveness is crowded. I bet you could start thinking about different things that immediately are always asking for your attention. It is when we get up, from the moment that we get up to the moment that we go to bed, from day to week to month to year, our life is inundated with distractions, and it is crowded. Some are things that are necessary, some are things that are important, other things, not so much. That daily battlefield is crowded with alarms, emails, text messages, work demands, family needs, fatigue, and a whole bunch of noise. So that's the situation we're in. That's where we are. The, the day does not disappear all at once. You ever feel that way? You get to that end of that day, you're sitting down, you get home, you drop your keys, you drop whatever it is. Maybe you have a dog. I have a dog. Maybe you have a dog that comes and meets you and it's all happy. You are the everything of that dog's day. And you're just going, I have no idea where the day went. It just vanished on me. Well, the truth in the situation is it didn't disappear all at once. We slowly drift off course through the day. We have a plan in the morning, and slowly but surely, alarms and emails and texts and demands, whether it be family, whether it be work, whether it just be distractions, slowly takes us off. When I was in the military, when I was in the Army, we had this thing. You have to learn how to what's called land navigation. I hated land navigation, but it is vital. The reason land navigation is vital, and what land navigation is learning how to figure out where you are on a map and where your objective is on that map. You can't just pull up Google Maps out in the battlefield. You have to figure out, here's where I'm at, here's where I'm going to go, and here's the quickest way to get there. And we can use that and apply that to our lives. We can get up in the morning and go, hey, here's where I'm at today. Here's what I want to achieve. I usually try to ask at least one of my kids, if not several of my kids, first thing in the morning, I'll get a hold of them and say, okay, what are your plans for the day? My daughter was joking around this morning. She was exhausted and tired, my youngest, and I got a hold of her. I said, what are your plans for today? What will make today successful? And she gave me she said stuff, I think, something. She gave me a flippant answer. She knows dad's not going to accept that. And I said, okay, let's be more specific. And she's trying to rile that up. She's trying to poke the bear. And so she said, she named the company she works for. And she goes, this is what I said, that's the area of operation you're in. Okay. That's not specific. And finally, she wielded it down and she says, well, I'm going to do this. What she told me she was going to do would indicate 100% mission success. Well, we know that no day in our life has 100% mission success. I said, all right, so let's bring this down into a more specific, measurable, actionable, time-given plan that actually can be achieved. And so she finally did. She's like, Dad, I'm just joking with you. I said, I know. But what about you? You get up in the morning, and if I were to, which would be really awkward if you woke up in the morning and I'm sitting by your bed, I would probably get arrested. You'd probably not call me coach. You'd probably ask how the hell I got in your house, right? But let's, for conversation's sake, say you woke up and I'm your alarm clock and I'm shaking the bed, say, time to get up. I'm like that drill sergeant. Time to get up, flipping on all the lights. And you wake up and you sit up and I said, what's your plan for the day? And you're like, I haven't even got coffee yet, coach. What's your plan for the day? By the end of the day, what would indicate to you that you had a successful day? That's your mission. Here's where you are. Here's where you're going to go. How are we going to get there? But then by the end of the day, you come home and very strangely enough, I am still there. And you walk in, and we won't pretend it's like a CIA thing. I won't be in the dark. I'll have a light on. And you walk in the door and I'm like, hey, did you accomplish what you told me you were going to accomplish this morning? And you go, "No, my day just vanished on me." No, it didn't. Somewhere along the way, you drifted off of your mission. And in land navigation, if I'm here and I need to get here, if I am not paying attention to the phase lines that I've set up, if I'm not paying attention to the landmarks that I'm going to pass or the typography, slowly but surely I'm going to drift off course. And the more that I drift off course, the further away from my objective or my goal, we can apply that to our lives. The more that I drift off, then the further away I am from my goal and the longer it's going to take to get me back there. Not impossible, but the longer it's going to take. And I could just get so worn out that I just give up and I become mission ineffective and I say, I'm done. Mission still is there. The goal is still there. So how do we keep ourselves from drifting? The question is not only what happened, the better question is, where did I lose my mission contact? Where did I go off course? And again, in land navigation, when we take a look and we say, wait a minute, that mountain and that hillside should be on my right, but it's on my left. I need to stop and figure out, okay, where am I? How did I get here? We do this by creating operational phase lines. These are checkpoints to assess and adjust and recover and then keep moving. Those phase lines, when we get to a certain point, it is a time to stop, to put ourselves in check and say, am I still on course for what I intend to do today, this week, this month, this year, a 5-year plan? Where am I? But all too often, we just are floating through life. We are just walking onto the battlefield of our lives, and we know what our mission is, but we have no plan, let alone a checkpoint. Your day does not need to be perfect. It needs command, checkpoints, and evidence of movement. And operation and phase lines does that. So that's the situation where we're at. So what are we facing? What are the enemy forces? What can ambush us on this directive? When we're talking about getting from here, from point A to point B, what can literally turn our life upside down? Well, there's a few things. One, we can get ambushed. Our attention can get ambushed. The world starts issuing orders. We show up, we get up in the morning, we have all these plans. I know of having worked several different styles of careers. One of the things is, I get up, I used to be in corporate America and management, and I would get up and I'd as soon as I got my feet hit the ground, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to accomplish today. Then I would get to my job site, and guess what? My bosses had had ideas of their own. They had things they were going to want me to accomplish. Well, how does that fit into what I was going to accomplish? And before I know it, I'm being pulled off in this direction. My attention is being ambushed. Maybe it's being ambushed by notifications on your cell phone. Maybe it's being ambushed by breaking news. If I had a cool graphic that spun around, so breaking news that grabs our attention, and before we realize it, time has gone on. We're not going to meet that next phase line. This creates what I talked about before, that mission drift. You start with a clear plan, then you slowly begin to move away from it. And then attention residue. What's attention residue, coach? It's where our body and our mind and our soul, we move toward a next task because we know it needs to get done. But we're still carrying on 5 other tasks in our brain. Our attention's not focused on the place we are. And a soldier knows that if your attention is not present and focused on the mission that is currently in front of you, the typography in front of you, the enemy in front of you, that is going to create a life-threatening situation as well as a mission-threatening. A lot of times there's unfinished, undecided, untracked tasks that keep pulling at our mental energy. We're moving forward and we're trying to achieve that goal. But we keep thinking about all the things we just didn't do. What we need to do is create a perfect plan, or not a perfect plan, but we need to perfect our plan. A lot of times we get one of the worst enemies, and I see this in mindset coaching. I also see this as a fitness coach and a strength and conditioning coach, I see this a lot in the gym or the athletes. We like to be busy thinking that if we're busy, we're achieving something. Well, I grew up in the country, folks, and I've done a lot of four-wheeling, I've done a lot of mud bogging, and I'll tell you, you can get your vehicle or your four-wheeler or all-terrain vehicle stuck in mud, and you can spin those tires, and you're busy spinning those tires. And you may feel good and it may look cool, but you're not going anywhere. And all too often in our lives, this is what we find ourselves. Day after day, we stay busy to feel good, that emotional context, not a truth context. We feel good about doing something. We actually haven't accomplished anything. If we are true with ourselves and when we are putting together an operation order for our life, an operation order for our day, an operation order for our goals, our dreams, our vision, our success, we have to be honest with ourselves. Where are we? What are the things that derail us? And all too often, that very thing is us. How you doing, Gina? All too often, that very thing is us. We become way too just exhausted by being busy to feel good about accomplishing something. But if we were to set phase lines and checkpoints and we stopped and looked, we haven't even left the base yet. We got busy checking our gear. We got busy looking over our plan. We haven't initiated the plan. So what's the mission? What I want to do today is give you some key points that will establish daily operational plan and a daily operational phase lines as intentional checkpoints for focus, action, assessment, recovery. And then take a look at what is an after action review, an AAR. That is a thing we do in the military where once we've accomplished something, we stop for a second and look back and say, okay, what did I accomplish? How could I have done it better? Did I actually accomplish anything or was I just doing busy work? And then maintain mission effectiveness, capture real progress, and continue moving forward toward your goals. How are we going to execute this? So first thing I want to do is I want to challenge you to establish a main effort. What is that goal? What's mission critical? So you have your goal, and a mission critical are things that have to be done in order for me to get from where I'm at to where I'm going to go and to be mission successful. Directly, this is something that's going to directly move your life, work, and health and family and your purpose forward. Whether it be a workout for your personal longevity plan, whether it be a client work, whether it be writing. I talk as an author, people will come and they'll purchase a book or they'll talk to me about writing and they'll be like, man, I have always thought about writing a book. And I've heard this more than I can, I literally have heard this more than I can explain and express. And I will usually go, okay, why haven't you? And they're like, well, I mean, I just don't have the time. Okay, so you don't have phase lines put in place. You haven't set a mission goal. You haven't set those checkpoints. Then how are you going to maintain this mission? How are you going to take a look? It may mean cleaning up and keeping my life functional by cleaning up some areas. If you're one of those people that you walk into an area and you walk into a desk or you walk into some place that you are to work at and it's not functional, you have already set your mission back. So it may be before you even accomplish these phase lines, you need to clean up some of your life. What are some things that you can do right now? They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be huge. Maybe just some small, minimal things that will then begin to build that platform. Meal prep. Like, I hate meal prep. As a fitness coach, I hate meal prep. I don't meal prep. I know there is one of the big things out there, lifters and fitness people, they love to meal prep. I hate it. I don't do it. But I will tell you, I also am very aware that there are times that I don't eat the way that I should because I didn't prepare ahead of time. That's on me. That's a checkpoint for me. If I want better success, I need to clean up that checkpoint. I need to maintain that checkpoint. Maybe it's financial. Maybe you're sitting there going, coach, I can't go to school to get this new training that I want because I financially do not have the funds to do it. Okay. Have you sat down and looked at where you can cut your bills? Have you made a plan to pay off some of the debt that you have in order to, maybe you can't go right now. Maybe you're like, coach, listen, I've cut out the Starbucks. I've cut out the fast food. I've cut out all the subscriptions. Like I am literally running on financial fumes, but I have, I had something go wrong. I had recently here at the house, we had a plumbing issue that derailed us financially for a little bit. We weren't planning on it. Right. And so as soon as it happened, I had some money that I had put aside for the business. And as soon as it happened, I was like, oh crap, I'm going to have to pull that money, put it over here to fix the plumbing situation. But then as soon as that took place, I then built a plan to reestablish that funds so that I can move forward. It set me back. It set me back to a different phase line, but I didn't quit the mission. And then what noise is it that is causing you to not be mission effective? That doom scrolling, that rechecking your messages. Oh, did they message me back? They haven't messaged me. They left me on red. Maybe it's avoiding tasks. Like for me, avoiding meal prep. I don't like it. Don't want to do it. I avoid it. Well, there's repercussions that come when we avoid stuff. Coach, what if I write a book and no one wants to read it? So I already have a lot of personal rejection in my life. I already feel a lot of times I don't have a strong self-esteem. If I write the book and no one reads it, no one buys it, then I feel rejection again. So I'm just going to avoid it at all costs. I don't like getting up early in the morning, going and creating a fitness legacy plan for my life. I don't like doing it. I don't like getting up early in the morning. So I'm just going to avoid going to the gym because I don't feel like doing it in the evening. Well, your response is your responsibility, but you are setting yourself back to be able to live the full potential that you are meant to live. So there's some things that you can do. If you got a pen and paper, write this down. If you're following on Facebook, you can download the slides later and copy this. I would suggest that you put down some things that declare how you are going to move forward. We're going to declare our phase lines. Today's main effort, today's main mission is whatever that is, right? I already know what my day's mission is today. I've got this. I am going to be working on a book that I'm helping a military brother of mine who does stuff for single fathers, things like that. I'm helping him with his book. I've got to do some work on that. I know how much of it I want to accomplish today. I've got a fitness class that I'm teaching later on tonight that I still have to put the program together for. I know I have to accomplish that. I need to work on some of my own writing. I'm going to accomplish that. So my main effort is out of all of that, what's the main effort? What are the non-negotiables? Right? Well, the non-negotiable is I have a fitness group tonight that I have to lead where I work at one of the gyms that I work at. Okay, so that's a non-negotiable. There are a whole bunch of people that are counting on me to show up prepared as their fitness coach. So that's going to be my main mission. The book, my military brother and I know that my day is busy and I get to it as I can. So that's a fallback mission, right? If I accomplish this, what's the next one? That's going to be it. I begin to strategize and put things together. Why does this matter? That's the next question. Why it matters. Write that down. Here's my mission and why it matters for me to accomplish this today. What is the minimum effective action? In a world that is always asking for maximum, go and lift the most, go live your best life, go live your wildest dreams, go see it all. You want to purchase this and that because it's the best. The maximum is not always the best. How many times have you heard somebody tell you that? Because a lot of times that maximum effort, we look and go, I can't achieve that. There's absolutely no way, coach. And that's life. Coach, I don't have the energy today. Like, I've had so much stuff hit me over the weekend, over yesterday. Like, I don't have it. All right. But that doesn't mean the mission doesn't need to be accomplished still. So let's take a look at the minimum. What's the minimum effective action that you can do? And here's why I say that. All too often, when we put the minimum effective action in, something happens. We actually take a step forward. When we take a step forward, a new door opens or new opportunity opens that we didn't see if we hadn't put in at least some action. When we do that, that provides a shot of dopamine that makes us go, oh my God, that felt good. I can do that. Then we look at the next minimum action. And before we know it, by the end of the day, by the end of the week, by the end of the month, the end of the year, we have accomplished something that we didn't even think we could accomplish. I'll give you an example. This last weekend, I was training a client, and we were doing some things as I was training them that I knew I was going to push them in this particular training episode. I knew what they believed was their maximum effort. I was very aware they had more in them. So they came to the point where I was going to push them a little bit. And I said, I really would have liked to have more. But all I said is, I just need one more. They were running. And I said, I need one more time around the track. That's it. And what that means is it gave them an achievable goal. They're like, okay, I do have at least one more in me. And when they got done with that, they said, Coach, wow, I didn't think I had it in me. I said, all you needed was one more. One more. What is that minimal effective action? Likely enemy contact in the military setting, right? This is a military setting briefing type thing. What is the enemy contact you will make to your dreams and your goals today? What are the things that could derail you? And then what's your recovery plan? If throughout the day you hit a phase line that we're going to be talking about here in a minute, you've established these checkpoints and you get to one of those checkpoints for your day and you go, okay, I have not achieved, or I'm off base here, I'm off course here, I have mission drifted. What's the recovery plan? How are you going to recover? So you establish the mission, and then you're going to start putting phase lines. In the military, we have really funny names from, if you've ever watched any military movies, you probably have heard like, oh, command squad has just passed phase line Alpha. Phase line Alpha, we're now heading to phase line Bravo, and we will check back in once we have achieved phase line Bravo. Well, ironically, I will tell you, having been in the military, our phase lines weren't always that evident. They were usually funny at times. Like we'd go, all right, first phase line is going to be phase line Coke. Next phase line is going to be phase line Pepsi. And then we've got phase line root beer. But each phase line had a name for it. In this briefing, we're going to call them Bravo, Delta, Alpha, Charlie, Echo, whatever, right? The military phonetics. But what you should do is you should have a starting point. That's that morning. That's when you wake up and you establish, this is what I want to accomplish today. Or maybe you're sitting here and you go, Coach, my dreams are big. I want to go to college. I want to do some new training. I want a new career. Coach, I do want to write that book. Coach, I want to create that legacy fitness plan that you keep talking about. Like, I want to be at 75 years old and be living my best life. I don't want to be hooked up to machines. I don't want to be hooked up to a wheelchair. Like, I want to establish now. Okay, whatever it is, wherever your starting point is, establish it. This is where I'm at, and here's my goal. Here's my starting point. Here's my end point. So then the next thing you do is, what's my first movement? What do I need to do right now, this moment, that I can do? Again, we're not talking maximum effort here. We're not at the objective. We're not attacking the objective yet. All we're doing is starting. What's the minimal effective thing you can do today? It may literally be, you know what, right now I need to put my phone down so I'm not being distracted by the noise. And then I want you to do it. It sounds simple, but that's where we derail. Many times we derail right off of base. We get our gear ready. We're ready. We have that goal. We have that plan. And as we go to step off, give me 1 second. There we go. Getting a phone call. As we get to step off, we immediately go, whoop, and we turn and we're totally distracted already. We've already derailed the plan. So what I want you to do is just that minimum thing. What's that first movement? For example, this morning, I'll just give you a really basic thing. This morning, getting ready for this grit briefing, my first movement was I said, okay, got to turn on the computer. You're like, Coach, duh. Yeah, but acknowledge those movements. Acknowledge the things you have accomplished. All too often, have you ever been in that relationship where you're really trying to work? Maybe you've had some rough patches and you and the person you're in a relationship with come together and say, we're going to give this a shot. We're going to work on this. And you know the big glaring issue in the relationship. But right now, you just do something small. And when you do something small and you look to that partner and that partner doesn't see it, how do you feel? You're like, I just did this. Yeah, it was small, but I did it. I thought about it. I executed it. I did it, and you didn't even recognize it. All you recognize is things I'm not doing. Ever feel that way? I know I have in a relationship before. I think it's something we can relate to, but here's the thing. We do it to ourselves every single day. We are accomplishing something. Maybe it's that walking past that snack machine. You're like, oh man, I'm hungry. But you keep walking. And maybe you're walking because you got to get to a meeting and you don't have time to stop and actually wait for the snack machine that may or may not work. But you walked past it. That's a small goal. That's a first movement. Maybe it's you're playing a game on your phone and it's saying, hey, in order to get some extra points or some extra gear, you need to pay for this package. And you're like, oh man, it's only $5. What's $5? Well, you have a vision and a goal that financially you can't achieve right now. And you're like, nah, I'm not going to worry about that right now. Own that first step. Then we start. We have the starting point, and that first step, you've already achieved your first phase line. What's that first step? And even on a piece of paper for TikTok, if you're not watching on the slides, but Facebook, YouTube, whoever you are, write this in a journal, write it in your planner. Say, okay, my goal for today is here, and this is where I'm starting. My first step is this: minimal expectation, minimal exhaustion, minimal effort. Here's this. And then cross it out. That is your first phase line. You have achieved it. Hey, the squad has passed phase line alpha. When you look back at your book or your notes or what your plan or whatever it is, you now have an indication that you are heading in mission success. And I can't tell you how much that does to your brain and how much that sets you up already, because you already go, oh, I already did this. Then phase line Bravo. Phase line Bravo should be somewhere halfway or midday or mid-month, depending on what it is, what's the time period of the mission, right? But let's break this down just today to keep it manageable. So, because you're going to learn, you're going to do this, and then you implement it during the day, and then you can implement it for a week, then you can implement it however. Somewhere through the day, you set that timer. That's that check-in point. That's that you got to call base and let them know I'm at phase line Bravo. And that alarm goes off. You stop and you assess. For us, anytime that we would stop, we would do a sit rep, a situation. Where are we? How much gear do we have? Have we lost any men or women? If we lost soldiers, have we lost military members? Have we lost equipment? Do we have enough ammo? Do we have enough supplies? Situation rep, where are we? Right? So you stop, that alarm goes off about midday, phase line Bravo. And you're sitting there going, okay, here's where I started. Here's where I'm at. I passed line. I had mission success with Alpha. Now between Alpha and Bravo, Has the mission gone array yet? If it has, how am I going to adjust? What am I going to do to get myself back on track? And then we move forward, always moving forward. And don't let, if you got off track, don't let that be a discouragement, because that's why we are setting phase lines. It is better to recognize at phase line Bravo in your day that you have gone off track and you can now adjust before you get to the end of your day and you're going, I didn't accomplish anything. So then phase line Charlie. Phase line Charlie really is going to be somewhere a couple hours after that. And what you're going to do is you're going to start looking at the friction of what is taking place. What am I executing well, and what needs to be done better? It's not necessarily, it is an assessment, but it's not necessarily looking at just, have I gone off base? This is now almost there. This is halfway to your mission. And you want to be able to check that off saying, listen, I'm doing this really well. And here is where I need to fix a little bit more. As you move through these phase lines, you're going to be constantly assessing and adjusting. And then finally, at the end of the day, you do that after actions report. At the end of the day, you look back and you look up, you pull that journal out and you say, okay, I did it, phase line Alpha. At phase line Bravo, I had to adjust. Here are my notes about what I needed to adjust. Phase line Charlie, I had run into, the boss called me into an unexpected meeting. My kids called me up and they left their homework at home and I had to run back and get it over to them. I lost a couple of hours, but then I readjusted and came back. I met up at phase line Delta. I met up with my accountability team, those that I trust with my dream and my plan and my goals. And I just checked in with them and they provided protection and realignment. I was really good, or maybe not so good. I accomplished that first movement, but then I got to Bravo. I totally forgot it. The alarm went off. I was in a meeting. I said, I'll get to it after the meeting. I turned the alarm off. I never went back. Don't know what happened to the rest of the day. You're like, well, coach, that's defeating. No, it's not. Because now you know what you get to do tomorrow. Now, tomorrow, you're going to be aware of it. Maybe instead of turning off that alarm at phase line Bravo, what you're doing now is when that alarm goes off, you're resetting it for the next hour because you know the meeting or whatever the distraction is at the point will be done by then. You are learning, even in mission failure, and I say that with quotation marks because I didn't achieve what I needed to do that day. You are learning how to adjust yourself in a better thing. But if you don't put these checkpoints in your life, whether it be a daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly, all you are doing is walking onto the battlefield with no plan, insight, and no availability to check your progress until the end when you have not succeeded. A phase line is a command decision point. Here I am. Here's how I need to adjust. Maybe you get to a phase line and the mission, maybe recently I had the opportunity as a trainer, I was heading in a direction that I had an opportunity that opened up that looked absolutely amazing. And I'm like, I was so excited about it. And I put all of these checkpoints in place and I said, oh man, here's where I want to be on this. Here's where I want to be on that. And I got through about a month of this and I stopped at one of my checkpoints, one of my phase lines. What's up, Matt? Good to see you, brother. I checked at one of the phase lines and I reevaluated and I looked at where I was going and I go, oh, this is not turning out the way I thought it would, and to nothing that I have done or haven't done. What I was told the mission would be is not what the mission is. And this mission doesn't align with the core values of who I am. And so I went to the powers that be and I walked in and I said, this is where we part ways. And they looked at me shocked and they said, what? And I said, I need you to understand, here's where we were a month ago, or here's where we were a month ago, and here's where we are now. And they said, well, what if we adjust? I said, I think we've gone so far off that if you all continue to go this way, that's fine. but this is where I must leave the mission. So phase lines in our goals, our dreams, our lives also protect us. It allows us to hit a place in our dreams, our goals, our daily life where we stop and have to make a decision based upon the information that maybe we didn't have back at home base. But as we progressed and we did these checkpoints, more information became available to us that we said, oh, no, not only is the team off course, they're going to continue on this, and I can't be a part of this mission. But if we have not put those phase lines, we have not put those checkpoints in place, we'll just continue to go. And before we know it, a year later, 2 years later, how many times you've been in a career or a job or worked for a company where you've worked for them for a year, 2 years, 5 years, and you're going, I am absolutely miserable. And if you were honest with yourself and looked back, you would have seen red flags. Year 1, year 2. But you didn't create these checkpoints to just stop and go, am I still on the right path? Is this still cohesive to who I am as an individual and my ultimate dreams and goals? When you begin to think like this, a couple of things are going to take place. One, your world's going to expand and opportunities are going to grow. Second of all, you are going to become elite at life because most people don't think this way. And then third, and probably the most, I would say, interesting is this. People will not understand you. When I walked into said meeting and I shared with them, I said, listen, we're going to have to part ways. The individuals I was talking to, I could see on the look and the expression of the face, they just didn't understand. How is he able to do this? How did he recognize this? How's he able to do this? And how are we not able to talk him out of this? Because people don't think this way, because instead of doing life, life does them. Instead of putting and implementing phase lines, checkpoints, and an operational plan in life, we just get up and let life happen. So that starting point establishes a command before the world starts issuing orders. At that starting point, you should ask yourself, what is the mission? What must be protected and what is likely to derail me? Then you move into phase line alpha, which creates early forward momentum. For those who are watching the slides, I've already covered all this. I'm not going to go back through it. So how do we execute? Here's a couple of things that you can implement and be able to do. A checkpoint is not there to condemn you. Okay. When you get to that checkpoint, it's not there to condemn you. Say, oh my God, you derailed here. You mission drift here. You haven't accomplished this. It is not to be self-deflating. It is to be a reality check so that you can course correct. And one of the things you can do that is write this down. Write it down. Got your piece of paper, pen and paper, write it down. You can use the STAR method. The STAR method is stop, take inventory, adjust, and re-engage. How are we going to do this? At a checkpoint, at that phase line, when that alarm goes off at checkpoint Bravo, or halfway through the day, you're at checkpoint Charlie, mid-evening, you're at checkpoint Delta, you're going to stop for a second and evaluate. What this does when we stop, and when I say stop, don't just, stop. No, purposefully set time aside. It doesn't have to be long, but purposefully stop what you're doing, step out, step away, remove yourself, because when we do this with purpose and intent, it disengages any chance of autopilot. Let's be real. Autopilot happens, and it's called autopilot for a reason. Many times we engage it without even recognizing it is engaged because our mind only takes in. We finished up here at Grit. We do a lot of workshops. We do 4-week-long workshops, and we just finished up the basic training workshop. And in it, we talked about how the mind only can take in so many data points a day or at a time. And it takes in all these data points, but it can only process a certain amount of them. the rest of them kind of gets pushed to the side or thrown out. When we get overwhelmed with all of the necessary things or all of the overwhelming things that life brings us, we engage autopilot. It happens. It happens to me. These phase lines allows us to use the STAR method where we stop, step aside, and with purpose and intent, evaluate. When we do this, we get to examine whether we have engaged autopilot or not. And many times we'll find out that we did. This stopping interrupts the autopilot. And then we can say, am I acting with purpose or am I reacting? You can even do this in your relationship. Maybe you're having some conflict in your relationship. You can use this. Stop for a second. Hey, hold on, I need a moment. Because I don't want to react out of emotion. I don't want to act from past expression, past memories, past experiences. It's that breather moment. And then we take inventory. What have I accomplished? What still needs to be accomplished? And then what is pulling my attention? You know, in these moments when we get these phase lines, we check, okay, hey, every head count. Everybody here? Have we lost anyone in the dark? No? Good. We're up on personnel. Everybody check your equipment. Everyone got your weapons? Yep. Cool. Everyone got your ammo? Yep. Everyone got all your gear? Yeah. Cool. We've got it taken care of. Anyone need anything? Anyone injured? Anything going on that might disrupt the mission? Well, you know, Specialist Jackknife over here, he was picking his nose earlier and he's profusely bleeding from his nose. He'll get over it. What's going to pull my attention away? And then adjust. Now we know, hold on, I've disengaged autopilot. Here's what's been done and here's what still needs to be done. Here's what I need to make sure is not pulling my attention away. Now I'm going to adjust. I'm going to get rid, maybe it's, hey, somewhere along the way, Private Snuffy over here got distracted and picked up a really heavy log because he thought he was going to be super soldier, Captain America, put it on his rucksack. Dude, let it go. Drop it. We don't have time for this. Drop it. Delete it. Maybe it's delegate. Maybe it's someone saying, hey, dude, I've been carrying the commanders. I know that a radio operator would never do this. Give me 1 second. I got to let TikTok know I'm still here. Maybe I know a radio operator would never do this, but maybe he's sitting there going, man, we've been marching for a while. This radio is heavy. Can someone else take it for me just for a minute? Right? It's delegate. Maybe the heavy machine gunner is looking over at his assistant gunner and saying, dude, you got to carry this weapon. I'll take yours for a minute. Delegate it. Maybe delay it, right? Is there an opportunity where, man, things have happened in this mission so far that we need to adjust? Maybe we've got, in the military, it's bad weather coming in. We don't have overhead coverage. The drones can't see. You have no aircraft coverage. I need you to delay for a minute until we can figure out something. Again, what's that minimum effective action that you can do? And then re-engage. You don't just stop there. What can I execute in the next 5 to 15 minutes that is going to help accomplish and move me forward closer to my goal? You're going to stop, take inventory, adjust, re-engage, the STAR. A checkpoint's that, again, I'm going to say this, checkpoint is not there to condemn you. It's there to give you time to correct course. And then another acronym. Us military guys, we love our acronyms. Absolutely. So here's a battle drill for if you get derailed. If we get derailed, we want to be able to recover from that derailment. How do you execute that recovery? R, recognize contact. Am I off course? Establish your current position. If I got off course, where am I right now? And is the mission still possible? Did I go so far off course that I could not accomplish the mission that needed to be accomplished? Cut the noise. I've said this so many times. In a world polluted with distractions, You, with purpose and intent, must take out the distractions because they will come, and you must protect yourself, guard yourself, eyes forward, head on a swivel, but do not get distracted. Eyes forward. Close the tabs, put away the phone. What is it that is distracting you? Cut the noise out. And then orient to the main effort. Go back to that mission card we talked about. What's that mission? Before I left base, I wrote down that mission. This is the mission. Let's reevaluate it. Let's reorientate ourselves. Validate the next step. Choose one realistic action you can do in the next 5 to 15 minutes, and then execute minimum dosage. I don't need you to do full force. This is not a full force sprint to the objective. It is 1 foot in front of the other, but make it meaningful. And then the R for recover is record recovery. I was derailed by this, and then this is what I recovered. If you can do that, recovery, recognize contact, establish current position, cut the noise, orient to the main effort, validate the next step, execute minimum dose, and record recovery, you now have a mission plan within the phase line to continue to move forward. Because recovery, that's evidence of discipline. Someone who's not disciplined is not going to do this. Okay. So for the next 72 hours, this is what I want you to do. This is your 72-hour phase line challenge. First of all, write a daily mission card every single morning. As soon as you get up, write it in your planner, write it on a card, write it in your notepad, keep it with you. What is my mission for today? 2, identify one main effort that will propel you forward. It can be minimal, but what is the one thing that you are going to do? Put an effort to accomplish the dream and the goal. And then I want you to set 5 phase lines: Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, or however you have fun with it. Have fun with it, right? Like, I don't know, phase line Scooby, phase line Shaggy, whatever it is, phase line Velma. Have fun with it. Write it in your book. Write it down. Write it in your journal, and say, okay, I'm at phase line Scooby. That's where I'm at right now. Phase line Shaggy, I'm going to set an alarm at 9 o'clock to stop, evaluate where I'm at. I'm going to take a look. I'm going to apply that STAR method. If I need to apply the recovery method, I will. And then each of those moments, ask yourself, where am I? What has distracted me? What do I need to cut? Disengage the autopilot. Use that STAR. Use that recovery. And at the end of the night, conduct about a 5-minute after action report with yourself. Take a look, cross off the phase lines as you go through. Write notes. This is where I was on course. This is where I wasn't on course. This is what distracted me. Why? Because what you're doing now is setting up the mission effectiveness for the next day. And then record one win that you would normally dismiss. A yellow day with recovery is still mission effective. You got those green days, mission moved forward, main effort was touched, after actions report was completed. Yellow day, mission was disrupted, but we recovered. We still moved forward. Minimum effective action was completed. A red day, mission lost or ignored. There was no meaningful action and no review. A yellow day, a lot of times we're like, oh, I want green, I want green, I want green. Do not minimize the yellow days. Do not minimize the small actions that you are taking. So make the phase lines, assess the fight, recover when derailed, capture the evidence, conduct the after actions brief, move again with discipline, purpose, and intent. I want to say this. Thank you so much for being part of this grit briefing. If you don't follow us on YouTube, please do so. If you are watching this live or have watched this live and you've not followed me, please do me a favor. Follow me on that. You can follow me on TikTok. For those who are watching on other platforms, TikTok, Grit Nation. YouTube is Grit_Nation. And then on Facebook, we have well over 1,000 people who are involved with the Grit Nation group. There is where you'll find the announcements for any upcoming workshops that we are doing, You will see that's where I upload the slides for download for anyone who wants them. And that's where we stay in contact with each other. But more importantly, understand this, that I want the music to wear out. Your response is your responsibility. I can give you the tools. It'll be up to you to use them. And at the end of the day, it's your responsibility on how you're going to respond. And it's as simple as beating yesterday's you with today's you. Only 1% change every single day gives you 365% change a year. Not maximum, not asking for 100% change today, just asking for that little bit as you begin to grow. Thank you so much for being part of the Grit Briefing today. I treasure you. You have value. Your response, your responsibility. My phone's not letting me go off the air, guys. That's the bloopers for you.